This is cs952, Introduction to Web Technologies and Design. Our last video, we worked on adding our image carousel. Image carousels are super popular these days. Almost hard to find a website that doesn't have some kind of an image carousel. Really nice feature. So now we're going to work on adding some Bootstrap responsive content. And we are going to first, in our DOM panel, we're going to select that carousel that we just added. So let's look at our DOM panel. I can see I've got three primary divs in here right now. There's my hero image, my jumbotron, and my carousel. So we're going to add this new content right after our carousel. And I want to make sure I'm in live view and I've got my carousel selected. And I'm going to go under my Bootstrap components. We're going to add in a Bootstrap component, and this is going to be a fluid container. Remember, a fluid container is going to reach out and expand to always expand to the maximum width possible. So we're going to add this fluid container. And when we do, we get the usual message asking us, do you want to add it before, after, do you want to wrap it around the selected element, or do you want to nest it? Well, we want to add it after. It's going to be the next thing on our page. So we click on after. There we go, container fluid. Now, I'm going to add in an H2 tag, a heading 2 tag. So I'm going to go under Insert and Heading. We're going to add in a heading 2, and it's going to go inside of our container. So we've got this Bootstrap container. Inside of the container, the first thing that people are going to find is an H2 tag. So this time we're going to nest it. So let's click on H2, and for the placement we want to choose Nest. Okay, and we get this is the content. We get this placeholder content. So I'm going to double click on that. Notice that when we double click on it, that blue line kind of turns to an orange line. I'm going to highlight this, and I'm going to change this to Featured Pages, Featuredpages. Now to save this, all we need to do is just click off of where we've just been editing, and the color of this bar will change back to blue. Okay, very good. We're done there. Before I go any further, I'm going to create a new selector. So I'm going to go to my CSS designer, and I'm going to make sure that I have styles.css selected, because this is the file I'm using to save all of my custom styling. I want to make sure I have global selected, because this is going to affect the website. It's going to be applicable whether you're using mobile or tablet devices. So I want to make sure I have global selected. Remember, global equals mobile. And then under my selectors, I'm going to hit plus because I want to add a new selector. And this is going to be a completely start from scratch selector. I'm going to call it #, which means it's going to be what? It's going to be an ID. This is going to be used as an ID because it's starting off with a #. And I'm going to call it icons3, I-C-O-N-S, no space, capital T-H-R-E-E, and then hit enter. So I've created a new selector called icons3. So we're going to take this ID that we've created called icons3, and that's going to be the ID of this div that we just added. Right now this div just says it's got a class of container fluid. Let me click on that. So I want to be able to target certain style rules, and I want these style rules to only apply to this div. So I'm going to give it this ID of icons3. So anytime I say, let me create a special rule for icons3, I know I'm going to be hitting just this div. And remember, because it's an ID, we can only use it once on the page. So with the new div that we added selected in my DOM panel, in my Properties Inspector, I can go over to where it says Div ID, click on the drop-down menu, and choose icons3. There we go. Now I notice here in my editing area it says that this div is a member of the class container fluid, and it also has an ID of icons3. Remember, we can combine these things together. Now I want to assign a property to icons3, and the first property I'm going to assign is I want to say, let's make all the text centered. When we worked with the footer, we used that existing Bootstrap class, text center. We could do that here as well if we wanted to. We could just go to class. We could add a new class, we could add a class of text center, or here's the other way we could do it. We can go to our CSS designer, and under our properties, right now we don't have any properties set for icons 3. I can click on the text icon, click down, and where it says text align, I can click on the center button. And now you can see featured pages is centered, because we have created a property that says all the text that's inside of this thing that has an ID of icons 3, all that text should be centered. And because of the cascading feature of CSS, even though this is an H2 tag, that text property of aligning all the text to the center, it's passed on down, and it is inherited by this child element, the H2. Here in my DOM panel, I want to make sure, we were just working on the div with an ID of icons 3. We want to make sure that we have the H2 selected, because the next component that we're going to be adding is going to be after the H2. So make sure in your DOM panel that you have your H2 element selected, so that when we add in this grid row with a column, it's going to come after the H2. And we're going to add some more Bootstrap components, and we want to make sure that we're in our medium view. And if I click up here in my media queries, I can see this is the extra small view, this is the small view, and it's a little tough here to actually see. Let me collapse my panels. I want to make sure that I'm in my medium view. Very important to be in my medium view, because I'm going to add in a Bootstrap row with a column, and if I'm in medium view, then the default sizing is going to be the medium view. If I'm in the small view, the default sizing will be the small view. I want to make sure I'm in the medium view. And in order to get to my medium view, I had to collapse my panels, and I did that by clicking on this little arrow up here. So now let's add in a grid row with a column. This is a Bootstrap component. And you might say, well, how are you going to do that? You just reduce the size of all your panels. Well, watch, if I click on Insert, this panel kind of opens up and still gives me access to my Bootstrap components. So grid row with column, that's what I'm going to click on. And then it says, we get this dialog box. We're going to add in a row with columns. How many columns? We're going to go with the default number of columns of 3 columns, and then we're asked, do we want to add it before or after or nest it? Well, we're going to choose after, because we're adding it after that H2 tag. The H2 tag says featured pages. We want this content to come after the featured pages. So we're going to click after, and then click OK. And now I'm going to click to put away this panel, and we can actually restore our expanded panels. And so these are the 3 divs that we added. And you'll notice each one has a width of 4 columns, column-md-4. Now it says MD. MD is shortcut for medium, because we were in medium view. If we'd been in small view, instead of MD, you would see SM for small, or we would see XS for extra small. Let me collapse my panels again. I'm sorry. To collapse all of your panels, you hit the F4 button. Okay, so notice that we're in medium view. If I click here for medium view, that I have these 3 divs, 1, 2, 3, and they're all right next to each other. As soon as we go to small view is the view that's smaller than medium, then they stack on top of each other, 1, 2, 3, and that's, of course, a property of Bootstrap. We said this is the medium view, and as soon as we go below the medium view, then by default, anything that's smaller than whatever view we currently have set, it goes to 100% width, maximum width. Now we could write a rule that says in small view display things differently. That'd be fine too. But right now, because we only have one property set, we've just given it a class of medium 4. When we're in the medium view, each one of these has a width of 4, but as soon as we go to small, and we have 3 of them, 3 times 4 is 12, right? Because we said that the Bootstrap framework supports a total width of 12 columns. Well, this is a good place to take a break, and then we will come back and continue working on this content.